I got a great suggestion from one of my followers to maybe take some riffs from other people, old unused riffs, rearrange them, rewrite them. A couple of people have sent me riffs over the last week. The first person to send me riffs was the Prog Encyclopedia. He has a great Instagram channel. He had sent me this on my Discord channel, the Prog School Discord channel, so come hang out there if you want to do this. He sent me a couple of things. The first one's a riff as part of a song. So let's take a listen to it real quick. All right, so that's the section he wants me to look at. It's about 50 seconds long. It's perfect. The first thing for me to figure out is obviously what the original riff is if I want to kind of mess with it. I think the low note is B. This one didn't have a tab with it, which is fine. I'll just learn it by ear. So what I'm going to do, at least for myself, is I'm going to put this into Guitar Pro. That way I have something I can kind of look at as I'm writing and work from there. This is just my process. I'm just going to start with the sort of rhythm instruments and build out the riff. We'll see. I might actually record real bass for this. Yeah, just like a double time groove. All right, so now I've recreated that main riff. Now I can start to rewrite it. I got the core of the riff down. I just want to see how many times it repeats and all that. I don't think I'm going to change that. I think that actually works pretty well. All right, so the riff plays once with just the guitar, twice with the full band, and then it goes to C sharp for like 8 bars and then back to this first riff. I think that's a fine structure. Right off the bat, there's a couple of things about this riff, and the process I'm taking here is exactly what I would do if I was kind of rearranging one of my old riffs. This riff is fine. It has that real Phrygian sound. It's got some nice offbeat syncopation to it. But I think there's a couple things we can do to make this a little more interesting. I'm not gonna completely neuter this and completely change it. I just want to take what's good about it and try to amplify that by adding some extra stuff and kind of changing things around. The first thing I think I want to do is add some pull-offs. One thing you could do, you have all these 3 patterns, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I could change what that second note is. Just adds a little bit more interest to have a different note in there. One thing I want to do right off the bat is kind of change where some of these accents are happening on repeats of this riff. So we have this 2-bar phrase here, right? So the second time around, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep that sort of 3 syncopation, but I'm going to start it an 8th note earlier. So I'm just going to get rid of this second 8th note, and then we're going to get a riff that's more syncopated. I want to keep those last 2 notes that were in the original riff on the 4th bar it ended with. I want to keep those there in the same spot, but I might add some extra notes before that. There's a lot of kind of just pedaling off the low B string in this riff, which is cool, but sometimes changing that up with a couple of different notes can sound cool. Yeah, that to me sounds more interesting. You get that syncopation in a different spot. So what I'm gonna do this 3rd time through is a classic Prog thing. I'm just gonna cut off a quarter note in the last bar. So you get a bar 3-4. You could think of this maybe as being 7-4 now. And then we have this last bar where the melody kind of ascends up. I wanna keep the same melody that was there originally. Maybe do a different bass note there. Ooh, that's weird. Let me put this in and see. So really that same little melodic part on top, I've kept that the same. I'm just doing some other different low notes here and there. Let's talk about the drums for a second, because there's a lot the drums can do to kind of change this up. What I'm gonna do is all track copy this. So this riff happens 3 times before it goes to the other riff. The first time is just the riff itself, so I'm just gonna get rid of the drums. Yeah, one thing there is I could do like a little snare fill to accent that odd time signature. So I think what I'm gonna do actually this first time through the riff is have the snare accent the patterns of 3 that are happening. So you get this sort of deal. And I adjusted where those accents are the second time, so now we're gonna get these accents in different spots. blasty boy here. So I'm just accenting with the snare all of the higher notes of this riff. The drums in a riff like this, they can make a really big difference, right? You have a riff that just kind of repeats over and over again, and it's cool as it is, and I changed it a little bit, but the drums here are gonna make this feel very, very different. I'm actually gonna keep your original just sort of like double time groove the second time the riff plays. And I might just adjust these more as I go, but for now I think that's cool. And then we need some like big old Mike Portnoy style drum fill here. That's really fast at this tempo, but I think it's cool. The second time through the riff, there was a harmony. So let me add that in. I'm just gonna do a third up, including this little hammer on. All right. I'm back. It's a different day now. I got a different shirt on. I put in for this intro, this part where the guitar is by itself at the beginning, basically the main riff an octave up with some tapping. It's kind of cool, but I was thinking about it, and I think I want something totally different. That sort of sound. It's just kind of hard to do. Yeah, I like that a lot. I also have a different idea for the very ending of this riff that I was thinking about that I think will be really cool. Yeah, I think that has a little more character to it overall. Here's my idea for the last two bars. I'm gonna kind of like raise up the melody like it was originally. Where these were all groups of 3, this is gonna be a group of 3 and then a group of 4. And I'm gonna do this in the actual riff itself too. It kind of still has that feel of the original going up, a little more interesting rhythmically. Oh yeah, that sounds so much cooler. I need the drums to change there. I'm just trying to catch these things with the drums, right? Okay, cool. Let's get this fill into it. So I'm trying to think about how all these parts are going to go together, right? I mean, it's not just enough to like throw a drum groove on there. Like that can work, but if I'm thinking about how the parts are connecting, it's going to make everything flow a little bit better. Ah, yeah, the end of that riff is so much better. This is good. This is what I wanted. It was feeling a little too generic towards the end, and this makes that weird 3/4 bar feel a little more natural. I think I could do a harmony on this. That'll be a good transition into that next riff. So let's take a listen to that next riff. I'm gonna have to pull it up here. So this is the main part, and there is then a little riff that goes up to C sharp, right? Classic, I guess it's like the Metallica key change where you go up a full step. It's also something Dream Theater does a lot. This is very, very much a Dream Theater inspired piece, I can tell, which is great, because I'm good at writing that kind of stuff. So that actually gives me like a lot to work with. So I think what I'm gonna do is probably keep that Phrygian dominant vibe, but then just move it to C sharp. There's a couple things right away you could do with a riff like this. It's just kind of going, you know, it's very similar to a riff that happens in a Change of Seasons, by the way. I think what I'm gonna do is probably change up the rhythm a bit. Maybe I actually go into 3. You know? Actually, what I think I'll do is I'll hint at the 3 here or there, like the more like a 12/8 thing with the drums, maybe. Maybe actually make it more like 5, so instead of 6. Oh yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do like 5, 7, 5, 6, I think. We'll see if this works. I'm just kind of spitballing the idea in my head. So I'm just going to put the time signatures in. That's cool. Ah, yeah. I wonder if I can get that harmonic in there. Oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, I think that's sweet. So I'm going to kind of play up this. Yeah, maybe I'll do that up there to get the bass. I'm just copying and pasting the bass for now. Like, I might do more interesting stuff with the bass later on, but for now. Yeah, that sounds cool. That is sick. We got some odd time signatures in there. So I'm going to copy and paste that. I think I'll do what I did in the first riff and get like a harmony going in there on the second part. I think a lot about transitions. That's a big thing. I don't think that I want the super fast 16th notes at the very, very last beat. It needs something else to transition, so. Yeah, it's much better. We got to go back to the main riff after that. Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay, here's what I'm going to do on this repeat here. I'm going to start adding some lead guitars. I think I'm just going to copy the riff up an octave. Some wheedlies going on here. Maybe I'll have the melody get taken over by that higher guitar and have the lower guitars do... Oh! Light bulb. I should have the higher guitars do that intro riff variation. So like... Oh, yeah, that's sick. Yes. This is cool. So you kind of see like how I'm coming up with ideas, hopefully. Although I might, chop this video up so much that you won't even be able to tell. Kind of like groove-wise, I gotta completely sort of change the drums. Like they can't be this super aggressive. And then I'm gonna like half time it. Okay, lead guitar time. What if I like double pick it? That's too much. It's too much.
How can less be more? It's impossible. More is more.
Like if I was writing this song, maybe somewhere later in the song, I have some sort of like double-timed aggressive version of it. That feels very Jeff Loomis, Nevermore. C-B-A-F. Kind of hard.
That's what she said.
I wonder actually if like I could take this down an octave when it double times and gets heavier, because just taking everything, lower. And then I'm going back to the other riff. I wonder if I should just do a solo over that riff the second time. Two times through this with a solo, and then end it off with that main riff again with like shredding over it. That's where I'll do the like crazy double time thing.
More is more.
Then I'll have this all sketched out, and I can kind of like work on the details later. How does it end in the version he sent me, I wonder? It just holds on a big chord, and there's some blast beats. I will throw the blast beats in there. I'll do it for you, Prog Encyclopedia. Blast beats coming at the end. The Blasty Boys. It's like the Beastie Boys, but more metal. The Blasty Boys. Oh my god, that's so many notes. And it, I like that C-sharp section that you had in there, so it's part of the reason I'm repeating it again. It makes this a little bit longer, but I think, I think that's probably good for this. So I'm going to listen to this entire thing. This is obviously sans a solo, and then I can kind of like start to maybe fill out some of the background parts and transitions and stuff, but overall it's pretty good so far. Let's take a listen. I may throw in like a few keyboards and pads, like doubling riffs here and there. I'll probably do all of that in the DAW though, so I won't do it here in Guitar Pro. I think I'll throw the synth in Guitar Pro. The other sort of extra stuff I'll add with my actual, virtual instruments in Studio One. Now with the synth, typically you gotta take this up an octave so it cuts through. Well, let's see how this sounds. One thing I definitely need under the solo is like some pad chords. Once again, I'll throw that in when I get to the DAW, but that'll be cool. But yeah, I'm super happy with this, so I'm going to do the old export MIDI. All right, so now I'm gonna go into Studio One and start to make this sound like a real piece of music. All right, so I've loaded everything up in my DAW, and I did some boring stuff off camera. Got the drums and bass all kind of figured out. Added the synth sound and then added a pad. So here's how that sounds. So that's what it sounds like there, and then I have the pad and all right, so I've got the guitars, I'll set it to record. I'm gonna do this intro overdrive guitar. I'm not gonna probably film all of the recording of the guitars because there's no way anyone wants to watch that, but I'll do like clips here and there of me recording this stuff, so let's do it. Pretty good overall. There's enough there that I can take from. I'm just gonna try to do this like one riff at a time. I think I'll just film maybe the first one and then I'll do the rest off camera just because it'll be faster and easier that way. I'll kind of get it as I go along. So I finished recording the rhythm guitars. I haven't edited them yet. They're tight enough that I'm going to play the lead over top. You don't really need to see my process with recording. That's not what this video is about. It's more about the writing of the riff in general. But I will show a little bit of the recording of the lead part. That was pretty good, actually. just going to give this a shot. Just go for it. I love this. It's so dumb, but it's so ballsy, which sometimes that's good.
More is more.
All right, solo time. That's what I need to do. I need to just do the first half. Good. Guitars are recorded. Now I'm going to do a couple of things here before I end. I'm going to throw in some more orchestral elements, maybe a few, strings here and there, a little more keyboards to kind of fill it out. Off screen, I added some more kind of orchestral background figures. Not a ton. I don't want to take away from the riff too much. Just some doubling here and there, some extra sounds. This intro riff is now doubled with this una corda piano, which is cool, and then a sitar, which I use later in the song too. So this is completely unmixed at this point, by the way. Let me bring in the guitar with that. And then I have some low piano and the sitar actually doing this secondary riff. The lead synth that's going along with this lead guitar. I have some pads and strings during the guitar solo the second time this other riff happens. And then at the end, I have a couple of things. I have the lead synth playing this melody and the una corda and the sitar. I also have brass hits, choir, which is very quiet, and then church organ. So all together. Now I may add in a few risers, like, cinematic risers, but that's all the sort of background instruments that are going along. So I'm going to mix this bad boy up, and then you'll hear the final version. So what you're going to hear now is the original riff that I was sent, and then my updated version. So there's my rewrite of one of my followers' riffs. If you have some riffs you want to send my way, please do. This was a ton of fun, and I can see myself doing some more videos in the future if this is something people want to see. And make sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification, and I'll see you all for the next video. Till then, stay proggy.